great call regardless. We just so there we go. So thank you for coming on, Vern. Appreciate you stepping up, basically like last minute. But essentially the goal for the call here today is kind of want to get a little nuggets from Vern on objections, and then do a little role playing after that. But just to kind of highlight Vernon and build him up real quick. Vernon's the man, my original mentor in the business. Vernon's been with Cutco for is it 8, 9 years or 9, 10 years now?
12 years.
12 years, even better. 12 years of rep. 12 years. There you go. I was hoping you picked up on it.
Feels like the same thing sometimes.
Yeah, especially on those weeks where stuff don't always hit right,
Right.
Yeah, Vernon went from selling $500 in the summer to probably going to sell $500,000 this year or something like that. But you're at 1.7, 1.8.
Yeah, like 1.7.
Yes, sir. 1.7 million bucks in career sales. Biggest year was last year, over 400,000. And anytime I have a conversation with Vern, I always leave it feeling good. And Vern always has some good wisdom to impart. So without further ado, I'll let Vernon, take it over. I want to hear what he's got to say, handling objections, and then yeah.
Sweet. Stephanie, how long have you been in the business, and where you're at in career sales?
I originally started in 2019, but it was like only for a month or two. And then I came back in February, and I'm about 15,000 in sales. So
nice.
Yeah,
Sweet.
So it's kind of new-ish, I feel. Yeah.
And are you full-time Cutco, part-time Cutco?
Yeah, one of those. No,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm doing a little bit more than I had, or I'm trying to get more appointments than I've been doing.
Yeah, meaning like, is this the only job that you have right now?
Yeah.
Cool, cool. Sweet. Awesome. Well, since it is you and I and Tuck, I can obviously talk about objections, but is there a certain objection that you are getting a lot of, or do you kind of just want to know how I handle most objections generally?
I I don't know. I wasn't that prepared, I guess, coming in. I would like to hear how you handle them, as well as I mean, sometimes I get to a point in my presentation where they're like, okay, well, I definitely want the signature set, but I also want to talk to my husband, so can I get back to you? And I'm like, well, right. So I should be having the husband on the call to avoid that.
Right.
So, I mean, it's kind of my own fault, I guess. Because I'm like, oh, finally, somebody's willing to do an appointment with me. It's been a little bit, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And then as far as the layers in your business, are you doing demos, service calls, and events? What does your business consist of right now?
So I mean, I don't have any events until August. And then I haven't done any service calls yet, but I was going to go field train with Jaquel Hyde in a couple of weeks to see how she does all of those. So hopefully I can start getting into that as well.
Cool.
So I've been
and are you
to sharpen the knives, but I haven't really done it yet.
And are you certified at all? Did you go through any service call training?
I don't think so. It was just like at the events training, they taught us how to sharpen the knives. So maybe I
Gotcha.
didn't service them really. I don't know.
Sure.
I haven't done it yet.
Yeah. By the way, at SC2, I will probably be doing a regional service call training. So I
Oh,
would
cool.
definitely do that for sure.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So most of your objections are like on demos and stuff right now, right? Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, one of the best ways to handle an objection is before it comes up. So when I'm scheduling appointments, I definitely do my best to make sure that both decision makers are there. So when I'm like, after I have the appointment scheduled, I'll usually ask them something like, yeah, awesome. By the way, who does most of the cooking at home? Great. And then, so that way, at least like the main cook is there. So let's
Mhm.
say if it's Mrs. Jones, right? In this case, I'm assuming it was. And like, awesome, great. So you'll be there. So like, do you do all the cooking? You do, awesome. So you're kind of like in charge of the kitchen. Sweet, great. Now, just curious. Obviously, like I said, you watching the demo definitely is helping me out. And Cutco's awesome. Cutco's great. Like most people that I show this to, do and like end up getting something, and it's not because of me. It's just because Cutco's awesome. They're amazing knives. If you were to see something that you liked, knowing that it's high quality products, American made, would you be able to basically get something on your own, or would you feel more comfortable with your spouse there? You know, what would you say, right? Something along those lines. And I also kind of say like, like this question is something that I ask to all of my customers, just so that because every couple is different, right? So if you happen to see something that you wanted, ideally, would you want your spouse there with you, or is that something you can do on your own? So, and she says, oh yeah, I can just get whatever one on my own, then great. Then you have that in your arsenal, so that when it comes to it, if she says, well, let me talk to my husband, I'm like, yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, I totally get it. Now I do remember, I do recall that, before we set up the appointment, I asked you if you feel more comfortable with your spouse here. You said that you made all the decisions. Obviously I know this is expensive, but like if you want to see something smaller, we can definitely see something smaller. That's not a big deal. Or remind her of the easy pay. Like, yeah, Mrs. Jones, it's only like a couple $100 a month, right? So it's super simple. So, and what I have found is like when I do pre-frame that, or at least ask them like, would you feel more comfortable with your spouse on the appointment with you, or is that something you can do on your own? Usually, if that person's like, nope, I can do everything on my own, I usually don't get that objection, because they're thinking like, well, I already told them I don't need to talk to my spouse. I can kind of do what I want, right? And if they tell you, well, I'm probably not going to buy anything, you're like, yeah, that's totally fine. But if you happen to see something that you want, I just want to know, just so that you are in the most comfortable position possible, would you feel more comfortable making a decision with your spouse, or would you be totally fine on your own, right? And if they're still him and on, and just set up the appointment kind of thing, right? So now, as you're doing the appointment, Stephanie, and this goes through this also transitions to service calls and events and all that, right? You want to make sure that you're having fun. You want to make sure that you're sounding confident, and you're basically telling them over and over again that like, yeah, you're going to absolutely love this stuff, right? You also want to seem like it's not a big deal and that everybody does it, because at the end of the day, $1,500 is not a lot, or people in their mid-30s, they own a home, right? They're both working, whatever. Like that's not a lot of money. So the more you can make Cutco sound like basically everything else, the more logical it'll make sense to them, right? So if you do happen to be with, say, just Mrs. Jones, right? Definitely talk about her spouse, right? So yeah, so why don't you tell me about like what do you and your spouse do for fun? Like lots of traveling, blah 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 blah. Do y'all have any hobbies that you do either together or separately, right? So if she mentions that he's a hunter, or fisherman or has like a car hobby, whatever, then you definitely need to remember that. Okay. So one of my favorite things to do is I call it gas up Mrs. Jones, right? So like if I find out, say that her husband hunts, and Midwest, we have a lot of hunters, right? And she wants to, and this actually happened, one of my favorite examples, this is like over an ultimate set, right? She's like, I don't know, I got to talk to my husband. Always agree with them. Like, yeah, I totally get it. Like, we're expensive, we're high quality, I get it. Just curious, you mentioned that your husband's a hunter, right? Okay. Do you know how many guns he has? Well, like at least 5. Okay. Is there any chance you know, like on average, how much those guns cost? No. Would you say at least $500? They're like, oh yeah, at least that. Okay, so that's $2,500 right there. And does he go on hunting trips every single year? Yeah. When he shoots something, does he pay for a taxidermist? Yeah. Does he ever have to like stock up on ammo and hunting gear and all that? Okay. And I'm just curious. Does he ask you for permission before he spends his money doing that? No, because that's his hobby and he loves it, right? And obviously he knows he's not going to put you and your family in like a financial bind by going hunting, right? Like that's not the point. The point is, Mrs. Jones, if you let him go shoot dead things, or I guess they're not dead when you shoot them, right? But if you go let him, go hunting, which is a lot of fun, and he doesn't ask you for permission, to spend his money doing that, why in the world would you need permission from him to invest in a set of knives that you're actually going to use every single day, no matter the season, to cook the meals for him while he's out shooting with the boys? And like every single time they're like, you know what, Vernon? You're right. Let's get that ultimate set. I'm like, heck yeah, Mrs. Jones, let's do it. Right. And then I tell her, and just in case if he threatens or if he's like, you better return that set, just tell him this. Yeah, no worries. I'll return the set. Once you return all your guns, you cancel all your trips, and you don't go hunting anymore. Guarantee you they'll never mention it again. Right? Because they spend a lot more on hunting, golfing especially, right? Fishing, fixing up cars, whatever, than you will ever spend on Cutco. And their hobbies are most likely seasonal. And they don't do it every single day. Golfing's the same exact way. Got a set of clubs, right? They probably pay for a membership at a nice, what's it called? Clubhouse. Okay. It's probably spend money on gear. Okay. And they don't even go golfing every single day, every single week even. And if they're in the Midwest, they're only golfing for a couple months out of the year at that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But she's cooking every single day. Okay. Like Mr. Jones, like your husband probably isn't going to take you to a golf shop to like buy more clubs, because unless you're a golfer, and I don't know, you probably could care less about that. And he's probably not going to, if he's like most of the people I work with, he's probably not going to call you and ask you, hey babe, there's this golf club set I want, it's like $1,500. Can I get it? You're probably like, well, that seems like a lot of money, but you golf, so do you, boo-boo, like, and again, they're going to know each other's financial situation, right? So that's why, like, if you are going to see spouses like without their spouses, make sure you're talking about them, you're asking about them, ask what hobbies that they do, ask, who does the cooking. So like if she does all of the cooking, then right away you can say, oh, well, if you do all the cooking, obviously, your husband wants you to have the best of the best in your kitchens. And this is your job, right? He appreciates your cooking, right? Of course. I'm sure you're a fabulous cook. So of course, he wants you to have it the best of the best, right? Saying things like, Mrs. Jones, these are your power tools of the kitchen. Your husband has his power tools for whatever he does. You need power tools for what you do. Okay? Your husband knows that he needs the right tools for the right job for what he does. You need the right tools for the right job for what you do. Okay? And I'm sure you have, and as you're like getting there and you're talking about like the money stuff, you can say, basically like if you build a good enough rapport, you can really say anything, that you want with a smile and get away with it, right? So, pretty much asking like, hey, look, like, I don't know who's in charge of the finances, but I'm pretty sure you have a general idea of what the finances look like. Like, I'm sure you know whether or not if you buy this, if you're not gonna be able to pay your light bill next month or not, right? So if it is, don't get it. Let's look at something smaller, keep your lights on. Cutco's great, but you need your lights on, right? But if it's not, and you love it, and you know you're gonna use it, you see the value of it, then go ahead and get it. You're gonna absolutely love it. Plus, you can split it up over 5 months, so it's literally like $300 today. That's nothing, right? And we let you try it out for a month. If you don't like it, send it back. We'll give you your money back, no questions asked, right? That's why we have that easy pay, so your husband can check out your power tools that you're using every day and be like, oh wow, this is really nice. And these are American made. These are really nice, right? And then boom, he's sold, right? So try it out for a few weeks, try it out for a month. If you and your husband don't love it, send it back. We'll refund you, no questions asked. But you're going to absolutely love it, right? So you're just instilling that confidence in them. And if they're like, yeah, I think I got to think about it. I still want to think about it. Always agree with them. Say, yeah, I totally get it. We're high quality. We're American made. We know we're not cheap. We don't want to be cheap, right? Because we don't want to apologize. We don't apologize for the price because we don't have to apologize for the quality. You're never going to tell us that you regretted, buying Cutco. Okay. Now, I just wanted to show you the set that you picked out. And, this is usually the set that people want. But what's great is that you can always start off with something smaller and upgrade to the set that you really wanted later. Kind of like buying a car, right? The first car you look at is probably the one with all the bells and whistles and, all the cool features and benefits and all that. But maybe it's not the car that you want right away. So you just get a lower model, a lower tier model, a lower trim level. And then in a couple of years, right, you can trade in your car, right, and upgrade to the car that you want later. Cutco's the exact same way. Okay. So like looking at this set here, what would be like, the 1 or 2 pieces that you would use the least, right? Or, what would be like 2 or 3 knives that you'd use the least out of this set? Or what would be the first 5 knives you would use the most? And I basically like drop down to like a 5-piece right away, right? And then you can like build your way back up from there if you want. So let's say, they pick like their 5 favorites. They can say, so what's great is, by the way, would you want these 5 in a block or a tray? Okay, awesome. So here's what's great. You have the 5 knives that you wanted to start off with, your Fab 5. And what's great is it's only this, say like $550. So you're way under $1,500. Okay, you're literally like 20% of the price or whatever, give or take. So you're way under the $1,500, and you can still split that up over 5 months interest free, right? So it's only like $115 a day, Mrs. Jones. That's pretty awesome. You're literally paying for like 1 knife today, okay? But we send out the whole set to you right away, so you'll love it. If you need a Band-Aid, give me a call. I'll send you a Princess Band-Aid, right? If you cut yourself, and then when you're ready to upgrade, just give me a call, and I'll give you a deal to complete your set. What do you think about that? Right. And so as you're dropping down, your energy stays the same. You're still excited, right? You're not disappointed because you're getting a smaller set. Like, no, Mr. Jones, my job is to help you get as much Cutco as you want and as you can. That's simply my job. If this is something that you want, see the value in it, that's why I'm here.
Absolutely. And we really are. We're kind of like, we're personal shoppers. Like we're finding the best fit, the best deal for them and their family. And so that is really fun. I like that a lot. Good job.
Yeah. So the more fun you make it, right, the more just natural, energy you have and natural enthusiasm that you have, and the more confidence that you have, the more confidence they'll have in themselves and knowing that like, okay, yes, I can.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I've got a lot of good stuff written down here. So
good.
Yeah. It was really good. It's like you've been doing this for 12 years or something.
Yeah, something like that. So now one thing that you could do too, Stephanie, you can kind of make a mental note or even jot down what are the most common objections that you're getting and find a way to handle those before it comes up throughout your pitch.
Mhm.
right? So if you hear a lot of like, it's too much money, or, it's expensive, I need to talk to my husband, whatever. So like when I'm pitching Cutco, um, I'm making Cutco sound as expensive and as valuable as possible. Like I'm really wanting them to like want Cutco. Okay. So I do my best to have emotion tied to it and logic so that it comes together. Okay. So as you're doing your demo, and I don't know what's in the manual or not in the manual, you definitely want to establish a pain point, right? So at some point when they see Cutco cut something, or if you have them cut something, if they're new to Cutco, that's their first experience with Cutco, whether it be virtually or live. Okay. So ask them like, by the way, how cool was that? Just curious, how are your knives at home? Right. I don't know if any of the videos it shows like a junk drawer with a bunch of knives.
Yeah.
Okay, it still does. So when I would show that, I would literally pause the video and say, hey, is there any chances of what your drawer looks like at home? Or like look at their reaction, because it's always funny when, she's like, yeah, that's our drawer right there. Right. So I'll pause and be like, does that look kind of familiar? And like, 9 out of 10 times say, yep, that's ours. Like, yeah, we actually had it. Yeah, if you heard some like rustling going on this morning, that was my camera crew in your kitchen, and we're kind of filming your junk drawer real quick. So, hopefully we didn't disturb you guys too much. And they always laugh at that. So you're already getting them laughing, and then like as you're seeing Cutco cut, right? You ask them, hey, just curious, do your knives cut do they cut like Cutco, or do they cut like cut nose? Right? Like, oh, they definitely cut like cut nose. Like, really, what's going on? Like, are they like really dull? Are they breaking? What's going on? And you're discovering their pain. Like, oh yeah, they're just really dull. They rip and tear everything, all that. Like, really? So like when you cut a tomato, does it like turn into salsa? Like every time, Stephanie, every single time. Like, man, yeah, when I cut tomatoes, I don't want salsa. If I want salsa, I'll go to the jar, right?
Mhm.
And then, you ask them like, so how long has it been doing it? Like a couple months, like a year or two? Like, no, like forever. Forever? Your knives have been cutting like this forever, Mrs. Jones? Wow. I can't imagine cutting in the kitchen's like fun at all right now. They're like, yeah, it's pretty awful. Like, okay, look. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if you finally had a quality set of knives that cut like this for you every day for the next 20, 30, 40 years? And every single time, you're like, that would be nice, as she's looking at her husband or whatever, right? Or even she's by herself, like, yeah, that'd be pretty awesome. Like, yeah, it would. And if you're doing all the cooking, Mr. Jones, you deserve that. I'm just saying, like, yes, we're really expensive. I'm not going to hide that. But just like anything in life, like you get what you pay for, right? Good things aren't cheap. Cheap things aren't good,
Mhm.
right? I'm sure it makes sense to, instead of buying crappy foreign knives over and over and over and over again, I'm sure you would agree it just makes sense to invest your money in something once that's high quality, American made. You can literally pass down to your kids for generations and never pay for it. Would you agree with that or no? Like, oh yeah, definitely. Like, absolutely. That's why we have, how many customers we have? Like 20 million customers. That's why our 20 million customers buy Cutco, right? That's why we have people that have owned Cutco for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and then buy Cutco for their kids and grandkids because they love it.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, this stuff is awesome. All right, let's move on. Right? Like, it's okay to like go off like that sometimes, because they're like,
Okay.
oh wow, like somebody really likes this stuff, right? And you can say, like, look, and I don't know if this is true. Obviously, I don't really like that. But you can say, look, I'm not even a cook like that. But the couple of times I have used Cutco, it's phenomenal. I've talked to a lot of people that own Cutco, and they just go off on it. And the people that referred me to you, they've had their set for 20 years. That's probably why they wanted me to check you out. Maybe they knew that when you cut tomatoes, they turn into salsa. I don't know. Maybe. So they're like trying to like, help you by having me, show you Cutco, right? And then you just move on, right? So like throughout your demo, just find times where you can go off like that, ask powerful questions like that, brings out pain that they have with their certain knives, and then ask them questions, that will make them visualize themselves using Cutco. Right, so Mr. Jones, just imagine every single time you cut tomatoes for the rest of your life, that's exactly how it's going to cut for you, just like in the video. Every single time. Imagine, when you cut through, when you're cutting meat at the dinner table, you don't have to go duck and hide because you think it's an earthquake. Okay?
Yeah.
Like you're going to get a nice clean cut every single time. And when they do get dull, because all knives eventually get dull, when they do get dull, you literally just send it in, we sharpen them for free. And they're like, okay, let's see what options we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why when I'm saying things like that, amongst other things, I'm telling them like, again, just like anything in life, you get what you pay for. Good things aren't cheap, cheap things aren't good. Okay. You obviously know how it feels working with dull knives right now. So any kind of high quality knife, you're going to look at something that's $100 to $200 per knife. So a la carte is roughly $150 per piece. Okay, and then we have sets that range anywhere from about $600 up to $4,000 retail. And then pausing. But what's awesome is that since you're working with me, right, and I'm working really hard towards blank goal or contest that I'm in, I'll be able to save you anywhere between 5 and 25% off, just depending on what you want. Right. Plus, we have interest-free payments as well. So we try to make it, we make it super easy for you. It's going to be great. So no matter if you want one knife or one set, my goal is just to help you get Cutco because clearly you need it. Like if you're struggling, if you're telling me you have dull knives, one, it's a safety issue because everybody knows a dull knife is much more dangerous than a sharp one, right? If you're doing something every single day, shouldn't you trying to make it as enjoyable as possible? Exactly, that's what Cutco is, right? So you're just going off throughout your demo with phrases like that. And the more appointments that you do, the more just natural confidence that you'll bring, right? So that's why nobody can tell me nothing about, why Cutco isn't worth it. Like, no, like Mr. Jones, I don't know what the stats are. All I know is that Cutco is the #1 brand of kitchen knives in the entire universe. I know that 100%. There's no other knife brand in the world that's going to get you A, B, and C. Plus, no other knife brand comes with me. Okay, so don't get on, right? You obviously want me. That's the best part of the deal, right? So like you just have that confidence, and that's going to portray onto and into your customers. So when they like pick the set that they want, you're just saying things nonchalantly. Like if they pick the ultimate set, right, and they want the steak knives, then literally I'm like, yeah. So what's cool is like if you waited over time to get this, and you kind of piecemeal it out, it's going to cost you $4,000. Right? But Cutco has an awesome sale on it, worth literally only $3,200. You're saving over $600 on this set. Plus, you can split it up over 5 months, so it's like $600 a month. Okay, it's kind of like a really nice luxury car payment, but instead of it being for 36 months with a bunch of interest, it's for 5 months with 0 interest. And you're going to absolutely love it. This is your complete set of tools, your power tools for the kitchen. You'll never be struggling cutting tomatoes or breads or anything like that. You're going to absolutely love it. Right? Let me just review with you real quick, like everything that comes in the set. You just do like a quick rundown and then you build up the cutting boards as we talked about in the past. Like, by the way, also what Cutco does is we actually buy you this cutting board set. This is almost $200 worth of product right here that Cutco just buys you to incentivize you to get the set. And these are forever boards. These aren't just some janky little cutting boards. Like these are forever boards, Mrs. Jones. So when they get super scratched up, super ugly looking, don't throw them away like all your other cutting boards. You literally send it into Cutco. They will literally buy you brand new cutting boards for life. And they, every single time, like, wow, that's pretty awesome. Like the cutting boards, like, yeah, the cutting boards, they're sweet. You can throw them in the dishwasher, you can scrub them, you can cut on them, like whatever. Like this is great. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna love it. What do you think? Like, you can pick the color you want. You can either do it in full, split it up, or if you want me to show you something smaller, I can show you something smaller. What would you like to do? So everything is just the same, nonchalant, full confidence. Everyone does this. Boom.
Yeah. Just like help instead of like following the like manual, like rote, I guess. Like you can ask them a little bit more like, hey, what direction do you want to go? Like,
Yeah.
do you want
Now,
this one? You just want to.
yes. Now,
look at something.
obviously I've been selling Cutco for 12 years, okay?
Right.
So you definitely want to still follow the manual, and you want to like slowly but surely start to implement some of these things. So, you know, a simple implementation is like, you know, when they show the video of the drawer thing, right? Like pausing the video. Hey, by the way, does that look familiar? Maybe that's already in the manual. I don't know, right? Asking me questions like, hey, what did you think of that? Like, how was it? You know, when you cut tomatoes right now, is it like blah, blah, blah? Like, that's an easy question to ask, right? But how it should go with your manual is you should memorize it, internalize it, and then personalize it. Okay. Because if you try to throw all this in, you know, with you being fairly new to the business, you're going to blow up your demo. It's not going to make sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's not what we want at all.
Yeah. Don't want to make it worse, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now,
I like how you're like, so do you just want to get this, or do you want to see something a little bit smaller? Like,
yeah.
or just, I like how you're pretty like chill and even the whole time, like not like, I don't know. I might like fluctuate in my tone and stuff more than
Yeah, you definitely should.
So
Yeah, you should, especially with virtual, you need to, you know, be more aware of your communication being virtual, because the last thing you want is just to be monotone the whole time, because then you'll lose them, right? So that's why I like to pause. Even sometimes I'll go like that, like, cool, what do you think of that? How cool was that, right? Just having some shift in it. Okay, that's why you want to ask maybe a few more questions than you would if you were in person, just to keep them engaged.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You know, when they still say that they want to think about it, you could say, yeah, no worries. Just so I'm on the same page with you, what is it that you need to think about? Everyone's different. I'm just curious. And, you know, maybe they'll tell you it's a lot of money, or yeah, it's just a lot of knives. Like, yeah, it is a lot of knives. Would you use all the knives in the set? You wouldn't? Okay. What are like the 2 or 3 that you wouldn't like ever use, right? Like, let's say if they're looking at the complete set, right? What I do is I try to highlight all of the complete pieces, like the ultimate pieces, and then say, so out of the ultimate pieces here, what are the 1 to 2 that you would use the most, right? And let's say it's like the boning knife and the peeler. They say, okay, I'm gonna let you on a secret. Okay, Cutco can't really tell you this because they're not in the field. But what's awesome is that, you know, you could get this family set, you get all these pieces here. Like, would you use all these pieces? Cool. So you could get the family set, and then you could just add on the boning knife and that 4-inch paring knife. So what's awesome is, you know, the family set's like $2,400. So adding those on is maybe an extra like $130 or something like that, or maybe like $180. So just an extra $200, whatever. So then I say, so here's what's cool. So now it's $2,600. You're getting all the pieces that you want. You're basically saving almost $1,000. Well, no, not $1,000. You're saving hundreds of dollars by not getting a bunch of pieces that you don't want anyways. This way, you get all of the knives that you want, and then you just double up on two of the slots. And then over 5 months, you know, with those 2 added pieces is only this. Right, so you can sell a signature set and then adding on 2 other pieces. You don't have to bonus them right away. Okay, if you're on the fence, then you can say, well, I could tell you really want this set, Mrs. Jones. I'm just curious. So Cutco sets the prices, right? But I'm just curious if I could help you out a little bit with the price, just to go out of my way to earn your business on this set. Is that something you might consider doing today, or would you want to see something a little bit smaller that still had pieces that you'd want to use? And if they're like, well, you know, well, what's your offer, right? Then, you know, buy the boning knife, right? You can say, so this boning knife here, that's the best one for raw meats, is over $100. So I'll tell you what, if you can go ahead and do this while you're with me today, I will personally buy that boning knife for you. So now you're only at this. I'm like, wow, you're going to personally buy that? Like, yeah, that's not Cutco doing that. That's Stephanie doing it. Your new knifeist friend, Stephanie, sharpest girl in Idaho.
Yeah. I like
right.
that.
Or if
So
they, you know, if they say, I was just going to say, then if they say it's a lot of money, I'm like, yeah, that's totally fine. Now, I just wanted to show you how much the set was that you wanted. Let me show you something smaller because you can always upgrade to that set later, right? And then just show, a couple sets smaller.
So in that example that you just gave, like, okay, you don't want to use those knives. So do I do like a builder set with an ultimate and then just add on what knives they want? Or do I do
No.
just a signature block?
Yeah,
And
you
then
just do a signature set and then you just add on those 2 other knives a la carte.
So do they fit in like the other, like
Yeah,
you said you can double them up or something?
yeah. Like, for example, you can put the cheese knife and spreader in the same slot. You can put the boning knife in with one of the wider slots. So there's a couple wider slots in the signature set. So, unless of course one of the pieces they want is a cleaver, then they can't put that in the block, but you can get the cover that goes with the cleaver, no problem.
Yeah.
But most of the other knives they'll be able to double up.
Okay. Awesome. I guess I was thinking of bigger ones. I'm like, really? Can you
Right.
figure out how to put them in the slot? So okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, I like that. And how you're not like just immediately like, yeah, I'm gonna give you this free thing. Like, because it is us buying it. I mean, we get our CPO taken off, so it is
Right.
us buying it for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it gives you more room to drop down if you need it. So
Yeah. So you're not using up all the like giving them the very best deal possible at first.
exactly.
Of building up on it.
Exactly. The value and the deal is in Cutco itself. Like, people don't really ask me this anymore, but when they've asked me, is that the best deal you can do? And I just should have tell them, this is the best deal on knives you're ever going to get. What other knife company do you know that's going to be American made and has a forever guarantee and a personal knife concierge professional that comes with it? What other knife company do you know is going to have all that? Well, yeah, no. All right, exactly. Look, at the end of the day, like, obviously I would love to earn your business, but if this isn't the right option for you, like, that's totally fine. Okay. So I guess you just have to tell me, like, is this something that you want, or do you want to see something smaller, or what? Right? Like, don't let customers bully you. But that's a separate talk. So
TED Talk there. Awesome. I like that. And I mean, I've used the example of like, well, that giant like toolkit that your husband has in the garage. Aren't there some of those pieces he doesn't really use that frequently? Like,
exactly.
Well, with your knife set, even if you don't use them very frequently, you still have them when you do need them, right?
Absolutely.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, and
like,
that's perfect.
Does he ask you every time he buys a power tool that he's going to use for one project when you're cooking every day? So yeah, that kind of thing. I've used that a little bit before. So
good. Yeah, and I would tell him pretty much the same thing. Like, yeah, like my dad had 2 tool chests in his garage. Do you think he used every single piece every single day? No. But he just knew whatever project needed to be done in the house, in the garage, on the car, he had the right tool for the right job. That is what this set is for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. Yeah.
And then, like, I'll tell him, like, so for me, it's the cleaver. I love this cleaver. Okay. Whenever I have anything frozen I need to cut, this is what I use. I probably use it a couple times a year, but when I need it, and then I usually say, you have it. Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. I'll finish it.
Does that help?
Yeah. Yeah, that helps a lot.
So by the way, if you didn't see it in the group me, shameless plug, I do have a coaching program for people that are at 15K, and it basically just puts you on a fast track to 50K. And we dive in more into things like this. So if that's something you'd be interested in, we can set up a call to talk about that.
Yeah, that would be super cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Then I'll send you an email or shoot you a text.
Okay. Sounds good. Do you want me to put my email or my number in the chat?
Actually, not in the chat. Why don't I'll just text you right now just so you have it. Okay, what is your number?
208-821-0989.
208-821-0989.
Yes.
All right, cool. So I just texted you so you had it. Anything else that you have questions on right now? And then I'll see if Tuck has anything that we should go over and whatnot.
No, I don't. Well, I've got to get to a different meeting soon, so
Is it your team meeting?
no.
Okay.
No, it's with no, it's just with my
Sure.
church group. I'm kind of active in my community, like with my church group and stuff, and so it's
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I
Yeah.
got, is it like your church's youth group?
no, it's so we're kind of in charge of like the women in the church,
Nice.
like doing activities and just helping them in different ways. So we just kind of go over that sort of thing. So I'm
Nice.
the secretary, so I got to take notes everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll be heading up to my church soon here too for their youth groups called Catalyst. So that's awesome, Stephanie. You're doing great work in your church. That's great.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. So like the last piece of advice I would just give you, especially for where you're at, if you can get to the point where you're making 100 calls a week, that'll help with everything, because you'll be able to set up 10, 15 plus appointments every single week. That's what I did. That's what I, mentored Tech on doing. So you make 100 calls a week, you'll fill up your schedule. If you're doing like demos right now, you're running short of leads, go back to that names list and just build up your names list again and just message people on Facebook. And if you're having trouble with leads, text me your email and I'll send you a document that I found in 2020 that I just sent my mentees for getting like more names and numbers and Facebook approaches, neighborhood approaches, all that. And then obviously, if you feel that the coaching program is a good fit, we can definitely dive into that. So just focus on getting like more names and numbers, focus on referrals. The sales are going to come. That the selling is the easy part, right? So if you're always focused on like fresh leads and focus on referrals, you'll be good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course. Do we need anything else, Tuck?
I think you delivered a bunch of value. Appreciate you, Vern.
Of course.
Thanks for doing your thing as always.
My pleasure.
And thank you, Stephanie, for showing up, ready to learn, ready to grow. Looking forward to seeing you get behind the booth and make leaps and bounds in your demos as well.
Yes.
And
if you can get more events, if you can get more events in your calendar this summer, I would definitely do that.
Yeah, so I'm like, Charlie's like 5 hours away with the events kit. So I'm like trying to get the money to buy my own. And I'm like, man, like the 4th of July is like big here. There's like a huge fireworks show. It's like the best, like the biggest on this side of the Mississippi. And I know I was like, oh man, I need to get in. I need to see if there's still any room that I could rent a booth or something. Because
what Cutco do you have right now? Like what Cutco items do you personally have right now?
I think everything that's red, maybe not, in a signature block. I don't have all the like table knives or steak knives yet.
Okay.
They're not red.
Right.
The steak knives aren't red. But I was hoping to do that, get those steak knives, and then get my own like the flatware as well, because then it has the table knives that match.
I mean,
and then my mom has like the ultimate set, so she's let me take it to demos before.
Okay, if you think you can get into like that event this weekend, just call Nick and be like, look, I know I don't have a kit. I'm not driving 5 hours for this event or to get the kit, but my mom's got an ultimate. I got some red pieces. I probably have some random gadgets. I can go buy like a 4-foot table and put a nice like tablecloth on it. Can I just go set up at this show? I think I could sell some Cutco and just see what he says.
No, that's a good idea. Yeah, I have like the entertainer pack, and my husband has like 3 of the pocket knife. Well, he has like 3 knives, like the fishing one, a pocket knife.
Oh yeah, I would definitely see if you can get in there. Just like I said, like get maybe a 4-foot, 5-foot table, go to Walmart and buy like a, I don't know, black or blue tablecloth, and then just set up all the cooker that you have and see if you can get into that event.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into it further.
sure.
But yeah, I don't know. So I'm like, oh, why didn't I even think of it? Like, it's a really big thing. Like, people come from all over to see the show. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah,
So,
check into it. Talk to Nick and see if that's something that you can make happen.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
I
of course.
appreciate that advice because I'm like, oh, that'd be huge.
Yeah, for sure. Well, great. Then have fun at your other meeting, and sure we'll see you on our next like events, team call and whatnot.
Yes.